Hello everybody, good evening, welcome to the stream. It's me, DIGI Driver, and we're going to be doing a night flight tonight from Birmingham, Alabama to Jacksonville, Florida. It's going to be a pretty quick cruise tonight. I don't think the flight's going to take more than 40-ish minutes, but I wanted to sneak a flight in tonight, get behind the controls, and just chill before I kick off the work week. I am behind the controls of the default A320neo. Didn't feel like trying out the more involved any builds version. To be honest, I sometimes like keeping my flight sim experience really basic, and I feel like it just kind of like helps me chill. Also, for some reason, I haven't updated my AirAC yet, but again, it's a default flight. Honestly, don't care that much. Maybe I should, but at the same time, it's okay. We are flying Orbit Airlines, and we're going to be taking Flight 197 down to Jacksonville. Let me go ahead and start prepping the cabin for departure. We got the seatbelt signs and electronics already turned on, and I think we can probably start feeding the fuel in and getting ready to push back. So let me go ahead and grab the external controls, and I think we're going to start firing up the APU very shortly. But give me just a moment to catch up. And my apologies if I missed anybody's chat. I will try to keep this closer to me, and then we'll be able to kick off in earnest. All right, so let me think. Oh, that's right. I want to change my view to be an interior view in the drone cam. I like this view a lot, actually. It's reminiscent of the views that I normally have on passenger flights. So good, my friend. Welcome aboard. Happy to have you aboard, friend. I am prepping for a flight to Jacksonville. I haven't flown to Jacksonville in quite a while, actually, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. But I'm just double checking my cameras, and we should be getting out of here. Yeah, so that's the showcase view that I want, and now I can toggle back and forth. So let's get the APU started. And I'll set the APU bleed because I'm lazy and I don't care. And we should be ready afterwards. I will dismiss the catering and the ground services as well. And that should get them out of the way. There we go. Now, I think flight level 230 for this flight should be fine, especially since it's not going to be that long. And what am I missing? I've got my squawk code. I just need to push back. Oh, I could work on performance. I mean, I'm phoning it in tonight, but that's at least I can do that. They've calculated my performance numbers, so 145 is going to be my rotate speed, and I think flaps 2 with an up of 0.4 should be just fine. How long is the runway? Let me go ahead and find out. Should be long enough to launch an A320 off of it, so let's go ahead and find out. Pulling up the charts online shouldn't take me too long. This is a default aircraft, so getting a flight plan set up from the World Planner is easy. Unfortunately, for some reason, it looks like my internet is really slow tonight. So in case you guys can't hear me, my apologies. But in case you can hear me, pardon my sloth as we get ready to get out of here. Let me at least get the METAR for Birmingham. Why is my browser not working? That's a little bizarre. I mean, I know that the sim sometimes likes to take its time, but let's see. It could be the browser. It could be, or it could also be the fact that my stream is literally taking up as much bandwidth as it is. So let's see how long the delay is between me doing anything and seeing a response in the sim. I think it was like 15 seconds before or something like that. I know I see activity in the sim, so that's fine. Okay, so more than 30 seconds. Let me see if I can change my other window to be real-time output. And where is that? Where is that? Mm, hmm, doesn't show it on this view. Okay, no worries. I mean, I'll take what I can get. Now we're doing better. Okay. Okay, I see. Wow, it really was slow for just a while. So let me see if I can see the chart. It looks like they want me to take off on runway 18, and that's a roughly 7,100 foot long runway. So I think we'll do a probably 68-degree flex temp, and that should do it. Other than setting my transition to 18,000 feet, that should be fun enough. Club class, welcome aboard, friend. Happy to have you. It's a night flight, so in some ways this could be extremely appropriate for you. We're flying from Birmingham in Alabama to Jacksonville, Florida, and it's going to be a quick flight, just a very quick stream. And we've got the APU bleed going, so we don't need external power anymore. I should be able to dismiss the power and get the pushback prepped, which we'll do next. Pre-planned pushback, and we can probably, let's see, which one was it? Okay, it's not doing that. So wait. I am, I think I'm facing this way. Yes, I'll take that. Let's go ahead and request pushback now. I turned off the pushback audio, so the truck's going to be coming in faster, and I think we should be good to go. Oh, look at that. Sheesh. All right. Now we can get started. Okay. Okay. I can respect that. I remember it's about a week from now, but last year I spent a couple of weeks up in Alaska and cruising back from Alaska to Canada, to Vancouver specifically. And I remember that day flying home. It looks like the pushback's memeing me, but that's cool. That day coming home, I had two flights, and I whatchamacallit. Oh wow, this thing's really spinning me around. Whee! Quite. But I had two flights that day, and I was pushing. I flew from Vancouver to Denver, and then from Denver down to my final destination. So I remember flying out of Denver. It took a little while to get home, because of the fact that we had to ride around storms. I don't know why it's doing that. That's weird. Let's see. Let's start the other engine. And I will cut the pushback right about now. All right. That's fine by me. We will get ourselves configured with flaps. We've got engine number 1 starting up, and I think I'm facing the wrong way, but it's okay. We'll just pull a UE and then get going. Yeah, I think the runway's that way. So we'll get pulled around. I don't know why it spun the plane around so much, but it's okay. It was a recent update, and I installed a whole bunch of city sceneries that I had not installed in literally months. So that's quite all right. Otherwise, I think we're good. I can go back to master or ignition mode normal, and now we can get going. I'm sorry. No, I did not actually. Let me check news real fast. Okay, okay, so Jasper, okay. Yeah. Sad to hear, and I hope that things get better for them really fast. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake, check our controls real fast, and get going. That should be good enough. Let's also set the trim, and that should be fine. I thought it was Jasper, that's what I saw. All right, we are rolling. A little bit slow, but we're on our way. Come on in. That's my cats wanting to say hello. So that's the east-west runway, or at least the northeast-southwest runway. And look at that. It looks like Delta flight's just coming in. That is kind of kind of odd and cool at the same time. Apparently fires are a thing. Well, thank you for the greeting. If my one cat comes in, I'll be sure to let her know. Well, come on in. Come say hello to the people on stream. I don't know. She got shy all of a sudden. No, she's coming in. She's coming in. How very nice of you, friend. Come here. Come here. You guys might hear her. Hello. Hey you. Hi. Hi, how's it going? It's nice to see you too. Yeah, yeah. I kind of got two line captains, if you will. But yeah, I am busy trying to taxi my way out of here, and I think I'm on the right path. So the next left is going to be the taxiway I'm going to be taking. I'm pretty sure it's not this left, because it's a different area. Taxiing out of an airport you haven't been to IRL or in the sim at night. There's a challenge. Alright, so which way are we going? Okay, 18 and 36. Okay, that is 18 and 36, so this is the crossing that we're going for. And since our engines are running, we can turn the APU bleed off. I'll get the strobe on, wing lights on. I tell you what, Sogan, I've had a special relationship with the cats that I've owned over the past 10 plus years. They are very much companions. It's an interesting story. One that I don't have a whole bunch of time to go into tonight, but I can definitely tell you it's been quite the adventure. Oh, wow. I didn't know anything about purebred Persians. That's cool. I'm partial to specific kinds of cats, but I tell you what some of the largest cats that I've seen personally. I haven't seen Bengal cats up close, but I've seen Maine Coon cats, and some of those can get very, very, very large. Like I'm talking about upwards of 35 pounds or more. All right, let's go ahead and prep for departure. Nobody's coming, so I can just mosey my way out onto the runway. Strobe light's already on auto. We could just set it all the way up. Actually, we already have. That's cool. And get my nose light to take off. Outside temperature right now is 22 degrees. Icing might be a thing. Yes, or more. Or more. Like maybe even 40 pounds. Because I mean they can get to be very, very, very big. Maine Coons. Oh yeah. Let's see. Flaps are at 2, trim is set. We've got initial climb to 230, and we've got our flight plan in the books. Let's go ahead and get out of Birmingham and get on the way to Jacksonville. Put those Flex SRS runaway emotes up in chat. We are about to get out of here. All right. That may be a tiger. You might be right. Okay, Manflex, runway. $100 knots. Coming up on V1 and rotate. Gentle, gentle. All right, positive rate of climb, gear up. Flaps 1. And there we go. Flaps to 0. Up we go. 1,000 feet, autopilot on. Oop, looks like I had issues with photogrammetry tonight. That's okay though. Past 1,500 feet, let's go ahead, thrust climb. Thrust climb is set. We're cleaning up the lights as we go. Already at 3,700 feet, and we are climbing up to 230 tonight for tonight's flight. Again, it's a really quick one. Right when you get to about 160 miles out, we're probably going to be already on a descent, if not beforehand. So, welcome everybody. Hope you have a nice seat and maybe a cold or a warm drink, depending on what part of the world you call home. We are in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we are flying a very quick flight tonight, almost a commuter op from Birmingham to Jacksonville. It's roughly 43 minutes of flight time, so it's not going to be a fast. I'm sorry, it's not going to be a long flight at all. Yep, and we are departing the greater Birmingham Metro. We've already got our flaps and the slots retracted, climbing up to 230, going at about 4,300 feet per minute, and it looks like we've already broken out. Nice. That would be cool. That would be pretty cool to fly. An F-16A? I'll take one. Obviously, you know my affinity for that aircraft. Apparently there is a relatively inexpensive F-117 available in the marketplace that you can purchase, that I can purchase tonight if I wanted. I could, in theory, fly it, and it is a nice plane. Don't know if I'd want to, but the temptation is there to get it. And since I have a teensy bit of disposable income right now, I might just do that. But I don't know. There's plenty that I want to try to get knocked out over the next couple of weeks, and that's in part why I'm streaming tonight, because I just felt like mellowing out a little bit and not getting stuff off my chest, but just basically airing my thoughts out. I'm tired, but like I wanted to just go do something, and I think I'm grasping for the proper words to say. Actually, Sogan, you might have just convinced me to pull the trigger. If I actually look at the marketplace when I'm done streaming tonight and I feel like getting it, I probably will get it, just for the sake of trying it out. If it's like $10 or less, then I think the bottom line would be like I might try it and then just do it. The current one's a borderline scam. Ooh, no bueno. No bueno. That's not good. I mean, I guess people are privy to releasing whatever it is they want, but I get it. There's I think certain boundaries that shouldn't be crossed with regards to releasing scenery or aircraft. So it's important to understand what those boundaries are, I guess. All right, so I have at least 160 nautical miles before I begin my descent, which is cool. At least I think I do. Yeah, Yeah, I do. At least 160. Did we finish breaking out? Yeah, looks like we did. It's a quiet night tonight. I would be curious to try some new aircraft in the sim, and it would probably be really cool to finish the projects that I have. At the moment, I've got some, uh, we'll call them focus issues that I have to resolve with regards to IRL work and some other stuff going on. I'm also making some changes to scheduling, and it's just gonna have to be the way it is. If I get what I need to get done, then my prayer is that September becomes a much better month. If it doesn't happen, then we'll just keep going and we'll meet that month as it comes when things happen. Suffice it to say, I'm hoping and praying for very good and very satisfactory things. Looks like we are hitting cruise, and I'm actually pretty happy that I chose to cruise at 230 today because the flight's not that long. I could have probably gone at 270 if I really wanted to, but it's okay. We can definitely turn the wing lights and the landing lights off. Just read your comment. I mean, I definitely see the progression that we've had with technology, and it would be cool if we could actually have that progression in technology continue more consistently. The problem that I see is in part addressed by some of the videos that I've watched that you've produced. But considering that the F-117 was a design that was in place since what, 19, I want to say like 19, the late 1980s, early 1990s. So probably early 1990s. I mean, it could have been in Skunk Works way before then, but it was in operation when I think there were tensions going on in, I believe, Central America, and most likely during the whole Libyan situation. And yeah, we didn't have stealth fighters at the time, but we had some pretty effective, um, you could almost call them standoff aircraft, like the F-117. So it's an interesting and still impressive enough aircraft that I guess we still operate them. So it's cool. It's cool to look at, and that we've had that kind of progression. Of course, the rest of the world isn't standing still. So, hey, Nathan's Planes, welcome aboard, my friend. Very happy to have you. A sneaky Sunday stream. We are flying on down to Jacksonville, and we just took off from Birmingham, Alabama. We're flying the, brace yourself, default A320neo, because DIGI is super lazy occasionally, and this just seemed like a really, really good idea for me to enjoy a fast flight. I've also taken most of or all of the NVIDIA GeForce Experience recommendations for things like scenery and detail levels. So I'm streaming at 1080p, but I'm actually in the sim at 2K. Um, in my opinion, the operator would have to be very good because you're probably going to have a hard time nailing down an F-117. It's not impossible to do. You would need to beware the golden BB gun, golden BB, bullet, so to speak. But unless you have good optics to be able to plan your shots, it's gonna be difficult for you to, only take a few shots. And by that point, you're probably firing tracers. Yup. Default, enjoying the plug and playness of the old school A320 Neo. It's a good thing for me because I can just jump in and fly wherever it is I want to go. Yes, I still do want to do stuff on stream with more involved aircraft, and yes, I do like flying, the Quality Wings 787 and P3D, and even the TFDI 717, and flying the PMGG 737. But tonight was just chill mode, like ultra chill mode. Not afraid to confess to you guys that I like default chill every once in a while, and today was no different. So I'm enjoying myself. Oh, well, there we go. Well, there we go. Complacency. No bueno. Who knew? I'm uh I'm chuckling to myself because in one sense, um complacency isn't what's going on in my life right now, but the the irony is a little thick. So yeah, about that. If you're a part of the Discord chat, then you already know what I'm talking about. Yeah, but honestly, I don't know. I think Nvidia's happy as long as I play by its rules. So I'm getting a fairly decent experience in the cabin and in the sim. So, it's probably hard to look out the window if the lighting, or I guess the old school name for it was gamma, but it might actually show the same level of lighting that I see right now. But frame rate's nice. Is it like 80 frames a second right now? No. Matter of fact, what is my frame rate? What? It's not 80 frames a second, but it's not 50 either. Okay, Nvidia, you win. That's nuts. All right, let me take a look at the arrival plates for Jacksonville, and let's take a look at the PDFs. We're going to be landing on 08, which is a 10,000 foot long runway. Interesting. Can I get arrival charts here? I'm being a really lazy pilot tonight, but I'm just trying to get my hands on some ILS charts and whatnot. And technically, I don't even have to do that because the ILS plan's already in place. If I take a look at Sky Vector and I look at the sectional, then really I can approach this airport around 3 to 4,000 feet and just be fine for the ILS. I might want to rewatch one of your vids because I think you talked about the J-20 at one point, or it was a different aircraft. But I've been the last time I was like truly in touch with like even a casual affinity for military aircraft. I was focused on the F-16 and the F-15 and like the MiG-29, and I just wasn't paying attention to all that. So I don't know. I mean, I have DCS. I just don't play it because because schedule, because time, because scenery development. But if I turn around tomorrow and I said, you know what, this is never going to happen, click, and I focused squarely on um, enjoying more time in Sims, I think I would be strongly tempted to get behind the controls of the A10C and the F15A and start relearning, the art of things like close air support and the art of dogfighting and mess around with the SU-25 again, all that stuff. Okay, each ring is 40 nautical miles. So if I need to be here between 13 and 10,000, then that means at 20, 60, 100, I'm at 23,000. Okay, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, so if I went from 23,000 to 13,000, I'd lose 10,000 feet. And that would probably put me in a 30 nautical mile radius to drop that. So if I can get to Douche or Douchy or whatever you want to call it, um, that's probably where I'll begin my approach, or excuse me, my descent. But yeah, I mean, even sheesh, I have an Xbox 360 that's collecting dust in my office that I might break out, Ace Combat 6 Fires of Liberation to play. Just for the just to get back into the spirit of, flying military aircraft. But it's been a while since I took chunks of my time out to learn the combat systems. Okay, okay. That sounds believable. I mean, I can still actually install Falcon BMS on my current sim rig and probably spend weeks, months relearning how to fly that plane and having a great time doing things like, getting back into the swing of doing, good dogfighting and stuff like that. You you don't say. Wow. Funny story. When I got Ace Combat 6, this was literally, literally almost 10 years ago. And I went to a kind of like,
Final approach checklist complete.
oh, hello, Pixel Penguin coming in. 3 month streak. Thank you very much, friend. Appreciate your contributions to the DigiFam. Enjoy those emotes once again. I was just talking, Pixel Penguin, about uh, picking up some old games for the Xbox 360, and I got Ace Combat 6: Fires of Liberation, and Mrs. Digi said, "Hey, get this one." And so she points to this box that has the game and joystick and throttle quadrant. Because back then you could actually buy Ace Combat 6 with the compatible joystick and throttle combo. And that's what I actually flew with FSX for a year or more. Because you could actually use FSUIPC to program the throttle quadrant and the rudder. Ooh, there was even a time in the history of Falcon BMS where I actually figured out how to fly the A10 because they actually had it as as a DLC, which is superb, really. The the diversity of, I guess you could call it, combat situations um, was definitely real. I remember, I think it was like the early to mid 90s. Right around then, we had this like brief little renaissance of military sims. Jane's was at least partly responsible for, you know, U.S. Navy fighters and advanced tactical fighters, and those missions were not easy as far as I remember. Even Origin got into it with Strike Commander and Pacific Strike, so there was a lot to go around in terms of, of shooty games, whether they were serious or halfway serious or just story driven. One of the things that I haven't played that I actually was kind of curious about was Privateer, which was the kind of like mercenary version of Wing Commander. But keeping it on Earth for now, I would say the um, the the next sim that I'd probably want to really get back into would probably be DCS if I wasn't doing anything else. But since DCS is incredibly big and heady, I'd probably start by going into BMS. Yes, yes, they did. Microprose had Gunship 2000, and then I forget who it was. What company made Apache AH-64 Longbow? Um, I want to say EA had a Apache sim or Apache game, but there was like a solid kind of like Gorod shaded version of that, and there was a funny, not funny, but a story driven, lighthearted take on flying the A-10, where you kind of like, you weren't a pilot fire, you were in the military, but they were doing a really kind of protracted campaign against somebody in Central America. And I'm not sure if it was based on real life events. I just know that it definitely was colorful. Novasoft, no, Novasoft definitely had Comanche Overkill. Comanche Overkill was a more arcadey thing, and it does qualify as a military game. But I'm thinking more about some company like I don't know. Let me look online real quick. Let's see. 90s Sims, Apache Longbow. I know there was a detailed Apache game you could play. Duh, 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 duh. Jane's Combat Simulations was there. Oh, okay. Never mind, never mind. It was literally called Apache Longbow, and it was a Jane's Combat Sim. But there was another one that wasn't texture mapped. Nova Logic. Thank you. I kept thinking Novasoft. Nova Logic. Dun, 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 dun. They made Comanche Overkill as a voxel sim game. And yes, they did have MiG-29 Fulcrum, and that was like the second kind of generation after like the early to mid 90s. I think you're right. I think you're right. I'm scrolling here, but yeah, they had F-22 Raptor, and then they made F-22 Lightning, F-22 Lightning 2, and F-22 Lightning 3, which was a 3D accelerated title where you could, in theory, launch a nuke from your plane. Probably a low yield nuke, but still nuke. And I'm trying to figure out where the old Apache sim was. Let's see, old DOS Apache sims. I'm trying to figure this out. Download Apache. Apache. It was Apache Longbow Interactive Magic. There we go. Interactive Magic. That was it. That was it. And it wasn't a highly detailed sim, but it was definitely a whatchamacallit. It was a deep sim from what I remember. I played I played the demo they had back then, and it was definitely involved. It was definitely involved. That's for sure. That's right. That's right. And the interesting thing about Novalogic and voxel-based simulation was that they the person that made the first Comanche Overkill, they tried to figure out how to make the game run. They were running into problems with memory management back in DOS. So the programmer came up with their own memory management, I guess, protocol. And that was the first DOS 4 GW extender, which allowed you to be able to um, play high memory DOS games without having to be concerned about how much memory you had available. Because otherwise, what you would have to do is, like I used to have to do with Falcon 3.0, it had to be the very first game you played when you booted up the system. And you had to tweak your configsys and autoexec.bat files in DOS to make sure you had as much memory available for it. But with the 4G extender, what happened was games that were going to require more memory or more resources, and this was before 3D graphics cards, those games would be able to run better because you'd be able to allocate those things. What's that? No, 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 no. You can turn it off. I mean, yeah, like I would have liked to have been around to see what those folks were up to. And I do remember those days too, Eric. Welcome aboard. Eric Flight, another one of the friends of the channel. Eric Flight is also just, I think, between marathons at the moment. My friend Eric Flight is trying to raise money for children's cancer research. Eric Flight, please feel free to drop the link in chat to your cause, and if anybody feels so moved, they can check out the website, potentially make a donation. But yeah, by all means. You made a special boot disk to get the memory configured. That's right. That's right. I think I had to as well. But I think by the time I got to the point where I was really enjoying the other military sims, DOS 4 GW became a thing, a regular thing. Oh, look at that. I configured I configured my what am I trying to say? I configured my MCP for descent, and we're already on the way down. Do I have my dome light on? That's weird. I don't think this one has a dome light option. Yeah, that's off. Oof, wow, we are descending. We probably don't need to descend that fast, plane. Yeah, we've easily got 40, 50 plus miles, so as long as I get to 13,000 by then, we should be fine. Nice. Congratulations. Congratulations, Eric. Sogan, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I remember growing up in a generation where we had to squeeze memory and performance out of less than ideal operating systems and PCs. So we had to, like, use assembly and write inline code that allowed people to get the most out of the computers they had. And we have so much memory and so much capacity now. It's like it's not a thing like it used to be. So with more data comes more sacrifice. But I think about it this way. I wish that the ortho was better at MSFS. Now, FS 2024 might fix that. But at the same time, I remember one of the things about FS 2024 was the concern about people saying, oh, wait, you have to be connected to the internet to stream scenery? God bless you. You have to be connected to the internet to stream scenery? It's like, well, yeah, you have to be if you're going to be streaming ortho. But at the same time, I remember, the only thing needing to be online for was to stream weather. And I don't know. I guess I thought differently about things back then. I think I agree with you, Eric. I mean, it was a good marriage of a different software developer company along with the resources that Microsoft had to be able to provide and stream the scenery. So I think if we would have been in a situation where we had one company publish, another company provide the satellite scenery, another company provide the streaming service, another company provide, you know, um, laser scanned images of cities, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have been anywhere near as good a combined package. I don't know how Auto Ortho does it. I just know it does it. I know I have it. So it it's definitely it might be streamed straight from the source. I don't know. But yes, Logan, I mean I feel like we've changed in terms of consuming video games as a whole. I know that I changed because I got turned off by going to places that sold video games and seeing the high prices for some of them. Now, it's easy and it's simple. You're not going to make the money back that you put in as a company without selling your title for a certain price. And yeah, I think back in the day when I had a DOS PC, picking up the latest copy of, like, I don't know, Space Quest, or picking up a sim, especially Falcon 3.0, you weren't walking away from a transaction like that for less than 40 bucks. So I get that. I just don't see the point of playing video games anymore where I buy the base game and I have to download 80 gigs of updates and there's additional DLC and content packs and loot crates. I never got into that. Now, if that's your thing, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying it didn't work out for me. Um, Auto Ortho can use, I think, Bing, Google, I think two or three other sources. Yeah. The last console that I think, if I had the smarts, I would have probably kept my hands on, would have most likely been the Super Nintendo. I enjoyed it, and now I have one of those electronic little game boxes that has a bunch of Super Nintendo games on it. So I don't have to buy a Super Nintendo, but I might do that anyway, just to get my hands on the physical cartridges and have those as copies. It's disappointing because I remember the difference between having, DLC that you could actually go to a store and buy, or, buy online. And you could buy scenery packs for Microsoft Flight Simulator 5.1 or for Windows 95, and you even, I think, still had scenery packs and software being sold for Microsoft Flight Simulator all the way up into probably Flight Sim 98, maybe even 2000, 2002 or something like that, where you had what am I trying to say? You had companies shipping things to you in boxes. I have a PS4 myself that I got from somebody that I know, somebody that I knew, excuse me. And I watched a very interesting, I watched a very interesting YouTube video on just that topic, like the whole thing of. I think they were talking about the PS5 and other ninth generation consoles, and people, I think, are kind of disillusioned by the sameness of those consoles. And like there's the stuff. I do miss boxes too. I think it was cool to have boxes, and had I known the extent to which it would have been difficult to hold on to those boxes because they weren't making them anymore, then I would have probably, and I mean probably, um, kept them. At least kept one or two of them, as opposed to getting rid of all of them. I got rid of some custom boxes that I wish I wouldn't have gotten rid of. I still have the physical media, but it would have made it nicer. I mean, at least the cool thing about doing what I'm doing right now is that I could theoretically one day, if I got the nerve to do it, make my own boxes for the sake of, knowing that I could actually have physical media and printed things in a box for somebody else to find in the future, or for me to hand down to somebody else. Yeah, yeah, and that's a lot of the stuff that we do as people. There are certain things that we hold on to that we're really glad we hold on to, and there are certain things that we wished we would have held on to because we didn't realize at the time, hey, this is important. You have this kind of mile marker or history, and you're just kind of like, you're going, oh, okay, well, whatever. And yeah, like I'm looking at it now and I'm like, man, I really do wish, I really do wish that I would have retained that. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, at least you have physical media. Like physical media is better than nothing. And I remember the days of shovelware where the CD drives were basically like, a fresh idea and a fresh thing, and companies were trying to figure out how to put as much as they could in in on a CD so that they could like showcase stuff or whatnot. That was funny back then. The first CD-ROM titles were either loads of full motion video or loads of software titles. And there's a place between there as they started really kind of like settling into the concept of using the CD-ROM. They started to make some really cool titles, and that's when we started to see the benefit of the extra space in the early to mid 90s. And then we got into DVDs, and we had DVD ROMs, and that's when I got my hands on Flight Sim 2004, and it came on 4 DVD ROMs, and I got to fly to places that I was familiar with. But in one sense, yeah, it was cool, but at the same time, it wasn't everything. Like I had to kind of pick and choose. I have somewhere in my office, I have a portable Blu-ray drive, which also plays DVDs, DVD ROMs, I think. And that's how I have that's how I have the ability to use some old titles. Yeah, so and I think you're right. Um, the Sega CD was probably the more advanced of the ones that the 16-bit consoles had. Now, I didn't have experience with the TurboGrafx 16, so I don't know how advanced its CD technology was, but I would imagine, I would imagine it was very, very, at least, at least better than what I might have expected. I didn't think of it that way. Wow. Thanks for the laugh. Thank you, Sogan. Oh my word. That's funny. That is funny. I would like to get my hands on a PlayStation 2, and I think I'd like to buy a Dreamcast. But I'm very happy, very, very happy that I have an original Xbox. I think no matter what, even if technology gets to the point where emulating an original Xbox is really good, I'm probably going to keep the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 that I have and build a collection of titles that were available for those platforms. Because I remember when I was walking around, department stores and I would see those things, they were pretty, the difference between the Xbox gaming and the Xbox 360 titles, they were fairly significant. Yeah, yeah, and other than the funky connections that basically I think the funky connections were basically male female. They had male female USB endpoints, and then the proprietary connectors connected to the Xbox, and that was basically it. At least I think. Gonna get shelves. Why am I not descending? Even if it's a decade from now. Easy, easy. Okay, there's the airport. And we'll hit approach mode now. Turn on landing scales. And
2,500.
I think we'll keep I think we will keep 2000 as the go around altitude. That's right. You did mention that. You definitely mentioned that. I mean, yeah, like would I wanna part with something like that? Like, I get it. I definitely get it. There's certain things that I wish I didn't give away, and there's certain things that I definitely don't want to give away. Um, Obsolescence comes for us all. I'm grateful that I have the Lord Jesus Christ as my Savior and to give me peace about all that. With regards to everything else, like estates and people passing their things down to me, certain things take on meaning. I get it. So I think there would only be a few consoles that I would hold on to. But the funny thing is, the knockoff Nintendo console that I got from Mrs. Digi when she gave me a man crate as a anniversary gift several years ago, that's it's such a neat little system, even though it's not perfect emulation, and the top mount cartridge inserter gets so difficult to eject cartridges from. It's still nice to know that I have one. Bitrate. Let me check my bitrate. I don't see a bitrate output here. So hopefully it works out for you guys. We are idle thrust, and I'm going to make sure that my speed is like the slowest possible. Full flaps. I'm probably going to say 148 should be good. Winds are almost down the nose at 7 knots. About to hit 1,000 feet. Not a bad flight tonight. Wow. Not bad. My guess is Daytona is off to my 3 o'clock way out there.
1,000.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can actually, take that means something significant. I mean, I guess that's easy for me to say, I don't know, but I would say there's certain things that we can and can't do. So I get it. Yeah, it sucks that sometimes it's difficult to get that information off of old devices.
500.
500, I'm gonna say my aircraft.
400. 300.
And
200. 100. 60. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard 5.
okay, we are down. And also flipping through the air. Nice. Ooh.
25.
Well, we're here. That's dope. I guess I hit a speed bump on the runway. Don't see that every day, chat. Um, damage report. My plane is probably in pieces. What? Let me see. Am I by the runway? Yes, I am. I don't know what happened. I think, and this is just a thought, but I think, yeah, see, the scenery I think is loading in. Has anyone else been having difficulty with bandwidth lately in the sim? Well, there we go. Game servers are currently unreachable. So that's interesting. It looks like what happened was nothing's loaded in other than the bare minimum. That's just weird. Not to mention the fact that the ground textures are absolutely super chunky. Wow. Also, I'm having fun kind of like looking at the playback. And now I get to see my crash the second time. Now the ground scenery loaded in. There's real weirdness going on, I guess. So that's fine. We're down. We're definitely down. There's no question. No, Sogan. Definitely not the FAA approved flight method. No. No. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. But I can definitely tell that the ground scenery did not load in. And I'm not sure if it had anything to do with my bandwidth or with all of the photogrammetry that we have. And that is the reason we miss complete games. Pixel Penguin going, whoa. I don't know, guys. It definitely did something unorthodox. The only thing I can think of is this. Here's my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. I was trying to shake down the latest city updates for MSFS for northeastern US, I've noticed certain segments of photogrammetry. It's like you don't have. I'm not using any server. I'm not using map enhancement tonight. I am on East USA, and I'm not sure if we're encountering difficulty with certain servers anymore, or if it's just a problem with FS 2024 in general. Okay. Okay. I think you mentioned that once upon a time. Yeah, I think you're right. It's nice to see that we do have some management. Excuse me, some model matching. Oh, wait a minute. Do we have somebody guiding us in? Hold on. I'm going to cheat a bit because I want to see them guide me in. I'm going to change my time. I want to see them. And where are they? They're right there. Okay, I see them. Yep. All right. Well, we absolutely cratered the landing, but at least we're going to have ground marshal getting us in. And there we go. All right. Parking brake set. That's pretty good for me. And let's go ahead and cut the engines. Okay, so one crazy wacky landing at Jacksonville later. We are down. We'll get power and the jetway connected, and I'm happy for that at least. I get it. I get it. The door's opening. I see. External power is hooked up, which means we can turn the APU bleed and the APU and probe heats off. We'll get the beacon light off because we're going to shut down the APU and cut the fuel. Start the APU, turn off the strobes and the nav logo lights. Okay, we down. Ha! Marshall hype! And also the other plane disappeared, which would make sense assuming that they pulled in and they're getting connected to a power source. Bit of a bummer. But I don't know. I guess it is what it is. Yeah, where was I? That's right. We're talking about how I tried to land at Jacksonville and the plane literally got flipped turned upside down. So we crashed spectacularly. Superb. And that's okay. Now, I am curious to see if the rest of the scenery loaded in. Oh, excuse me. My one joystick's having a real big issue with Joy-Con drift. So I'm going to disconnect the jetway for now, and I'm going to do a little bit of drone flying because I can. and just check and see how the current scenery is loaded in. So, reset position, full drone speed. Let's have some fun. Yeah, time to rest. Okay, so, all right. For one, this is interesting. The trees haven't loaded in, although I have good satellite imagery, at least nominal satellite imagery. And actually, what is going on? Ooh. This is kind of giving me pause. I see the satellite imagery. There we go. Are the trees loading in? No, they're not. You know what? It might have almost been synthetic scenery, or at least land class scenery. So we've got photogrammetry loading in. This is starting to make sense now. This was so slow. And I think we kind of have an issue now. At least I see one. When I touched down, this this looked like this was bland. This was mush. I didn't even see dashed lines on the runway, and the textures are still kind of loading in, but they're better now. And so, we taxied the gate here. That plane wasn't there before, but whatever. Yeah, I think we've got some scenery load issues here, and I am kind of regretting um getting the Northeast City photogrammetry. I don't know, man. I feel like scenery kind of turned a corner with FS 2020. I'm not sure if anybody really kind of like sees what I see right now, but something about this just isn't working. Now, I don't want to be like, oh no, they're horrible. No, but I think I've got two problems. I've got issues with loading photogrammetry in the sim, and we also seem to have issues again with Jacksonville where there's no trees around the airport. Let me try something. I'm going to cycle between photogrammetry and no photogrammetry and see if the problem solves itself. So I'm going to take photogrammetry off and we're just going to load or reload the airport. We're going to get some default buildings, but fine. And now I get a bunch of trees and probably, about okay-ish places. The runway looks incredibly bright. Like not even the auto dimming on my graphics card is taking that away. I do, I don't know if they designed this airport um, with ground textures in mind in non-photogrammetric modes, but the satellite imagery, the textures look bland. It could be because everything's loading in. This could be a DIGI problem. As in fact, I'm pretty sure it is. Because I'm streaming 1080p with my resolution at 2K. I'm gonna experiment really fast, and you're gonna see a change in graphical quality. I'm gonna take this down to 1080p and see if that makes a difference. Because if it does, I'm going to keep it that way for the foreseeable future. I don't think it will. I think I'm genuinely having problems loading satellite imagery in. And to be honest, I'm a little bit bummed. No, I mean, just so you guys don't misunderstand me, clearly there's more important things in this world than Digi having airports load in nicely. And apparently, to be honest, resolution doesn't have an impact on load in or, in my case, frame rate. So we'll keep the high res that we had and we'll get back to the sim. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I am streaming on the same computer, and to an extent, I used to think that it really wasn't an issue. Now, believe it or not, a long time ago when I was almost exclusively X-Plane for a little while, I did notice difficulty loading things in, and I think it was a function of um, a lack of VRAM. I have a 3060 Ti, excuse me, which has 8 gigs of VRAM. I should probably get a more beefier card, but you know, money. So it's not something that I can afford right now, but I don't know. Like I wish things loaded in faster. This is kind of disappointing. Wow. And I mean, it's not like the default objects are not fully loaded in, but it is what it is, I guess. Um, I think the thing that bothers me the most about photogrammetry nowadays is, I don't know, the inconsistency in presentation. I'm almost wondering if I'm going back to the time where it's like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and enjoy photogrammetry less flights so that I don't run into issues like that. But I think it's still going to be a problem with things loading in. I have a 3060 Ti, so yeah, yeah. I don't think my rig is equipped enough to handle having something beefier than, say, a 3090. I think I would genuinely have to consider getting a new rig at that point. So, I don't know. I did notice over the past 2 or 3 flights that I've done on the sim, just casual flights. I think the problem that I'm running into now might actually be due to 2 things. It might be due to me streaming and flying at the same time, and it might be due to me streaming and flying 1080p. I might have to go back to the slightly reduced um, resolution that I have, where I downscale the stream to 864p. I don't know. And yeah, it is taking a long time to load the photogrammetry in, and this is kind of disappointing. Okay, at least the photogrammetry is loading in slowly. I just wish it was faster. And do I have... No, my rolling cache is off. So this is, I think, slightly synthetic scenery. So I guess I'm waiting for everything to load in. But at least now the trees are not having difficulty loading in. It's just everything else. In fact, let me find some photogrammetry that I can look at. It's interesting. The photogrammetry is actually outside the airport. Some of the trees outside here are good. Good examples. I don't know. That's photogrammetry. And it's kind of like I have to choose, I guess, what it is that I really care about. The frame rate feels smooth, but I don't feel like everything's loaded in. The satellite imagery is slowly coming on. The photogrammetry is slowly loading in. Yeah, yeah, I've actually had this the past few times I've been streaming. And I don't remember if I ran into this problem when I was just flying around by myself. I think the goose that laid the golden eggs is starting to get tired. The problem that I think we're running into now is that we've got one city after another, after another, after another, and you've got this thing going on now where you have one photogrammetry issue after another, and then you get to a point where it's like, oh, well, like I've got 20 cities to load, all with photogrammetry, and my sim is the same sim. I have I have an AMD Ryzen 9 myself, and I like how it's a very capable chipset, and AMD these days, like at least the hype that I saw a while ago, they design their chipsets to be run hard. So I can squeeze out frame rate by letting the thing take itself up to, you know, the maximum that it can. I just wish that my performance in MSFS was more consistent. And I think two things need to happen. I think I need to um, go back to downscaling my resolution and probably ignore NVIDIA and either stream at 1440p or 1080. And since you guys won't be able to see much of a difference anyway, it might not matter. And other than me sacrificing, I don't know, a graphical hit, it might not be an issue. However, the problem that I see is that I don't think it's the graphics card's fault. Excuse me. I don't think it's the scenery resolution fault. I think it's just everything loading in, and that's bandwidth plain and simple. So I got issues. I got issues to sort through. That's for sure. I do have 64 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm running this on an NVMe drive. So hard drive performance and total RAM in general is not the issue, at least not right now. Something happened. Something happened, and I'm trying to figure it out, but I don't have a lot of other stuff running. I mean, I had my browser windows open, but I didn't have that many open to begin with. Now, I think in general, if you have several browser windows open, you're probably going to wind up in a situation where your overall performance is going to be impacted. So yeah, I see that, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't expecting it to take that much of a hit. Yeah, yeah, I feel like it too. I think I think I'm streaming at 1080p right now. I think downscaling it would free up even more resources for my CPU, and now that I'm not flying and simulating an aircraft, I can kind of drone fly out to Jacksonville downtown and be okay. I just wish that this was not causing me issues like it is now, which is a bummer. But I also haven't been to downtown Jacksonville before, and this is pretty cool. I don't know what this is, but this looks like an old school Coliseum, which is interesting. The Jacksonville Landing. I see. Okay. That's kind of cool. Hey, DIGI. Two-Face Disc, hello my friend. Welcome aboard. We flew out from Birmingham to Jacksonville, Florida, and let's just say I completely torched the landing. The 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 scenery didn't load in. So when I touched down and the ground scenery started drawing in, I hit this massive speed bump and my A320 did like a 720 in the air. I think I flipped upside down and sideways and then or at least I went straight up in the air and crash landed again, which was funny in one sense. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're down now. But this seems to be a problem that I'm having with my bandwidth. Some of it works for me and others don't. Um, I think I'm going to take a look at that. I think I'm going to actually check that out because I don't necessarily care if stuff doesn't work out that well as long as I am able to stream stuff like this and not run into massive problems. Like if I have to fly in to a place that doesn't look the best and literally wait like a minute for everything to load in, it's going to take away from my enjoyment of the sim for sure. I hope you're feeling better, Two-Face. Welcome aboard. Um, what do I want to do? Let me think. Yeah, I feel like I feel like there's some kind of a bandwidth problem that I'm gonna have to resolve, and I feel like part of that is slightly due to me not working with a rolling cache anymore And the other part is also um, trying to figure out why it takes so long for everything to load back in. Because if things loaded in slowly, then maybe I could like forgive the delay in terms of getting the photogrammetry loaded in and be like, oh, okay, I'll just take my time taxiing to the gate. But that's not what this is. I mean, when we landed earlier, or when I started taking a look around here, there weren't trees here. There was just a whole bunch of photogrammetric rocks, if you will, and it took a while for anything to get loaded. So I guess I got to do my research. Yeah, upgrading RAM on a computer felt like it did so much more for the overall experience than it does now. Let me take a look at something else. I forgot to check something. Okay. So I am using Super DLSS. Also, I'm on DX12. I'm on DX12 and I'm not using frame generation. It feels smoother, and I'm wondering if that had anything to do with my problems. That Blaming my photogrammetry issues on frame gen being turned off sounds like the silliest argument imaginable. But two things. I'm on DX12 and I'm having issues with stuff loading in. Now this makes sense. I thought I wasn't on DX12, but I might have adjusted my sim a little while ago. Now I understand what's happening. I think there's a problem not necessarily with bandwidth, but with VRAM. I'm going to try something really fast. This is probably not going to work at all, but can I switch something? Where am I? Okay, good. There are my views. Let me go to my DVR back screen so I can just adjust a few things and then actually reload the sim. I'm going to go back to DX11. I'm going to keep everything else the way it is. Let me check my rendering. It's my fault. Terrain level of detail got adjusted from 150 back down to 50. That's a bit much, NVIDIA. Okay, so terrain vector data medium. Buildings I'm going to kick back up to high. Trees can stay medium. Grass can stay low. Volumetric clouds will kick up to medium. Object level of detail, I'm honestly going to make it 100. I don't care about anisotropic filtering. Texture supersampling, we'll do 2 by 2. Texture synthesis medium. Water waves medium. I could care about shadow maps, ambient occlusion, all that. Depth of field, I'm going to turn off. And I am going to leave cockpit refresh rate at medium. Issues with things loading in. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Lens flare, don't care. Lens correction, don't care. Motion blur, I don't care about. Depth of field, I don't care about. Bloom is fine on. Light shafts low and ray marged reflections. Um, I'm okay with that. Windshield effects, um, we'll kick that up to medium. I think I might have discovered the problem. Probably terrain level 100 is just fine. At least for now. It's better than 50. But that would explain why I had issues with stuff loading in, maybe? Maybe. Also, I'm going to I'm going to put the I'm gonna put this back to balanced. Actually, no. If I'm gonna keep the resolution high, I'm gonna keep the LSS levels, and then I'm gonna quit, and I'm going to fire up the sim again. I'm not gonna do an Airbus flight. I'm just gonna load into an airport and see. That's actually a good idea, Sogan. I haven't thought about that. Let me check something. Let me go to Content Manager. Did Content Manager try to do everything, all the things right now? There also seems to be a temporary content update for the newly installed Ireland and United Kingdom World update. So I'm trying to see if I can grab that real fast. I don't know. Or at least it's downloading fast. I'll be honest with you, I felt a few nights ago flying into Albany from Allentown. I kind of felt like the photogrammetry around Albany was just like phoning it in. There were these two long slabs of photogrammetry, and the airport was literally just outside of it. And it just made me go like, I don't think I like that. I don't have that much ping on my server, so it's not East USA's fault. Let me reload the sim. I'm very curious about this. The Boeing Summer Sales Event. Hello. Okay, let me reload the sim. I went back to DX11, and I have my texture resolution set to medium. I could probably load into JFK and then do photogrammetry passes up and down Manhattan. That would be a really good test. But I don't have that much time left, so I want to kind of pick one approach and stick to it. I'm going to see what happens. I'm waiting for the syncing data stuff to be. Hey, we're on stream. Hi, Mom. That's great. Uh, so good. Seriously, I love your soul. Thanks so much for being here tonight. This was great. Okay, looks like we're reloading, so I should be able to go back to live view. Okay, so we're keeping the same resolution. Oh, you know what I want to do? I might activate lossless scaling. But you know what? Lossless scaling is probably not going to do much for my overall bandwidth. Just to say hello, Katie. Thank you so much for stopping in today. Appreciate having you here. I am doing a quick post-flight test because I flew from Birmingham, Alabama to Jacksonville, Florida, and when I touched down, I landed firm, and then the plane flipped, and I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" And I think the scenery just wasn't fully loaded. I broke my laptop screen a long time ago on an old laptop, and it took me a while to get the replacement screen. But the thing of it all was that I could only see half my screen, so I had to hook it up to a monitor or to a TV. I definitely sympathize. I've run this, Eric. I've actually run this in a variety of hard drives. I've run this off a plate drive. I've run this off of an SSD, and then I'm running it now off of my NVMe. And I can tell you, I never want to go back to doing plate startups because they're just so slow. And for me being a scenery developer, I actually have very little scenery installed other than my own. So perhaps I'm snooty, but okay, let me think. I think I'm going to spawn into JFK, Barking Gate Charlie 25, and then we're gonna experiment with the ortho and the the photogrammetry, and we're gonna see what everything looks like. Oh, sorry about that. Let me increase my mic volume a tad. Okay, hopefully this works out for you guys. I also have a NVIDIA broadcast buffer, so you don't hear absolutely everything. But my gain is almost maxed out. I just might bring the microphone closer to me, and that's it. Also, I don't want to get too peaky, but we're pretty close to max. And it's also because it's like almost 1 a.m. in the morning here. So, discretion. All right, so we are in, and we are back in DX11 land, where my frame rates are, I think, a little bit lower. Let's take a look. This is also a function of being at this resolution in New York. 35 frames a second at JFK, I'll take and be very happy about. So, let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and increase my drone speed and set this back to daytime. Also, that should do it. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of live traffic. Turkish. Bit of Turkish delight over there. Haha. And this is JFK. Now I'm trying to think about how the highway comes in here. Yeah, it comes down here. Yeah, and essentially this is where it just goes bananas. Flat out bananas. And this is JFK. Definitely a slightly bespoke treatment of the scenery. And New York is that way. Okay, so the scenery's fairly chunky, lots of stuff loading in. Photogrammetry is not the best, but it's not giving me the same kind of problem I had before. I'm going to stop though randomly and see when photogrammetry finishes loading in. I don't think this is photogrammetry. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it is. It has to be. Okay, Control Shift Escape. Processes performance. Okay, let's see. CPU, memory, disk, Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is just absolutely pegged right now. So we're sending megabits and I'm receiving kilobits. And this supposed parking lot or whatever this is actually not loading that well. So I'm actually going to close my other window for chat. So I won't be looking at chat for a little bit. I want to see if this increases my my performance. One thing's for sure, the photogrammetry around the airport is not loading in well. Like at all. This looks bad. The airport's loaded, but if these are supposed to be photogrammetric houses and whatnot, they're really bad. What am I doing wrong? I think I'm gonna have to start using rolling cash again. And I just saw it go now we're loaded. It took what, a hot minute? Oh look, I completely forgot that it was like a train station type deal. Yep, there's that bandwidth issue again. And this is with DX11 now. So this is a problem. Okay, so try KFDW. All right, let me just mess around here. I just want to take myself over to downtown New York and see if I can fly around and frustrate this. I mean, it's not gonna get much more. It's not gonna get much more. Absolutely chunky than it is here. It's a bit disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have that much installed other than some liveries and some airports. So I'm not sure what it is that I'm doing massively wrong. My frame rate is going to take a hit in Manhattan. I would assume nothing less. But I'm going to jump to DFW once I'm done. Somebody's flying an extra. All right, and bam. All right, we made it to New York, and the photogrammetry looks absolutely terrible. Yeah, I think the pattern is that it doesn't want to load photogrammetry when I get somewhere now. And I think it's literally a problem with a lack of rolling cache. So I think I'm going to have to reactivate it and set my rolling cache to like, I don't know, 32 gigs. And we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't necessarily want anything bigger than that. And I almost feel like that's a bit too much. But I'm gonna try 16 for a start. And we'll see what happens. There we go. I'm glad I did 16 and not 32. I'm I don't know. I don't know. I mean, my throughput, my bandwidth is supposed to be some of the best. I don't have FiOS, but man, like I'm paying for pretty high up numbers. It does look like the photogrammetry loaded in while I was waiting though, so at least that's that. So this is what I'll do. I'll fly up the East River and then we're going to go to the Bronx and we're going to see whether or not we have issues. I'm assuming we will. I think if I fly around long enough, something's going to have to reload. And I'm like around 50 megabits per second right now. But the difference seems to be something. Also, let me load lossless scaling. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's see. I'm going to use FSR and I'm going to use LSFG frame gen. You guys should notice a difference with the rendering pattern. Okay. And now the very bottom and the very edges of the screen have this kind of slightly weird wavy effect. But I want to say I feel like, oh no, it's like looking through the inside of a glass bottle. That's interesting though. That's kind of funny. All right, we'll turn frame gem off and we'll just keep AMD FSR loaded as the rendering feature. Yeah, I have it set to 16. I'm not gonna make my rolling cache bigger than 16 gigs. I've got some stuttering at the moment, but I mean, considering just how much photogrammetry there is right now, that makes perfect sense to me. Um, this is the Bronx. This is Interstate 95 on the bottom here, right here. This is the Mount Eden interchange. You like the way to actually get back on the highway is actually really weird, but it's interesting, and there's like multiple levels of road. This is the Grand Concourse. Don't mind the overgrowth. All right, let's go over here. This is like Yonkers almost. I tried the frame gen mod I was using before I turned off Musfuss. I'm using lossless scaling, and lossless scaling lets you pick from NVIDIA image sharpening, AMD FSR, and you can also use um, two different flavors of of new new frame gen. One thing I am noticing is that the photogrammetry is loading in much faster. So I think the frame gen definitely gave me a hand with this. I'm sorry, not frame gen. The rolling cache gave me a hand with this. I kind of wish it didn't. I kind of wish my network was fine enough. But I had been using a rolling cache for a long time, so I don't know. Maybe my ISPs have been having issues for the past month. And I mean, like, we're following, what is this, I-95? Or is this I-95? I think that was a train station. This is I-95. So we're going into New England at this point. And I think I'm okay with medium volumetric clouds. Okay, now we're beginning to run out of runway in terms of bandwidth. So now I want to see just how long it takes to catch up. My frame rate's okay, it's just my network traffic that's abysmal. Okay, this time it didn't take that long. This took just about um like 15 seconds. Yeah, I think I thought of frame gen as a bit of a panacea to performance, and the problem with frame gen for me is that if the performance of my sim is not the best, then what's going to happen is the it's going to smooth things out, but the overall frame rate is going to be less smooth. I'm sorry, the overall frame rate will be lower, so that even though there's hopefully less stuttering and more consistency, my frame rate's not going to be that high. Okay, so let's see. I'm waiting for the photogrammetry to load again. I'd say about 5 seconds have passed. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. 20 seconds. Okay, yeah, I definitely noticed a change in quality. So it takes about 20 seconds for the photogrammetry to catch up. I don't know. I mean, is that gonna be good enough for me going forward? I guess it's gonna have to be for now. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to use frame gen unless I have to, unless there's a way for me to use it really nicely without significant issue. I do see that with even a slight or a 16 gig rolling cache file, the system seems to be copacetic with the idea of um, loading things in. And here we go, someplace I haven't been to yet. And stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 30 seconds. 40 seconds. Okay, so it took about 40 seconds for everything to load in. So again, thanks so much for stopping in tonight. Really appreciate having you here. Thanks for just hanging out tonight and for making this great experience for me. Appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I should probably be going to sleep extremely soon. But I am chasing the golden goat of photogrammetry and network loading. I think it's just simple. I'm probably going to try a experiment soon where I take a literal hard line to my router and just use what I can and enjoy it. In terms of resolution and in terms of settings, I don't think I'm going to change my settings much from what they are right now. Texture resolution, texture sampling, all this. It doesn't look to me like much of this is changing anything in terms of overall performance. The sim is overall okay. So I'm okay with what I have right now, and I'm just going to go ahead. Ah, I see. That's why. I think I'm going to keep things as they are, especially since, barring any weirdness, being on 2K display with 1080p output to Twitch seems to be good. Now, if I did 1080p in terms of output resolution, then I'd probably want to super sample stuff a lot. But I think I'm going to keep the resolution the way it is so that I don't have to super sample that much. And that's going to be fine. I'm going to hit the 5 button and fly back to the aircraft and have everything load in. And I think that's going to tell me pretty much all I need to know at this point. I think it is time for me to pack it in and just watch the rest of the scenery load back in, all the ortho, photogrammetry. I think that warning pops up because there's so much to load anymore. But it's nice to see things pop back in. I just wish it would have been better when I flew in tonight. But hey, if my stuff messed up so that your stuff doesn't going forward, so much the better. So let me think. I feel like, at least in part of the issue here has been solved with photogrammetry loading in. I didn't have a rolling cache and there's a lot to install. So I'm going to probably mess around with this a little bit more. And since I'm running at 2K resolution, there's not much that I have to do in terms of anti-aliasing or super sampling. DLSS is taking care of some of the issues for me. And I think I could probably switch this from balance back to performance, since I'm going to keep that. Oh, it's already there. Yeah, I'm going to keep things the way they are. And that should probably be a decent enough approach for me. And stop, and then wait like 30 seconds for this to load. Now, I think I was like flying at like 300 to 400 miles an hour just now. So all this load in is probably going to be, I want to say it's going to be par for the course, but I think it's also a question of my baud rate. And right now, I'm only receiving at like 120 or 336 kilobits per second. It's bad. So I think it's a question of a few things. I'm streaming. I've got another screen open. There's other devices that are using bandwidth as well. So I think I might experiment with having a hard line again, just to see whether or not this actually works out. It's going to be messy, but it is what it is. I'm not worried about it per se. I'm still able to fly. I'm just gonna have to be careful about using rolling cash going forward until the problem is resolved, at least. I want to say. Um, Let me think. Where does all this come from? Oh, that's I see. Those are uh subway tracks. I see. Okay. Wow. I haven't been to this part of New York City in a long time. I forgot. I forgot. Might have to look this up. Um, Guys, I've been, you know, shooting around New York City and looking at photogrammetry and looking at stuff. And honestly, had a nice time, but I do have to, I definitely do have to get ready for tomorrow. I do think the rolling cache is going to help me with load in, that's for sure. I don't want to have more than 16 gigs. 32 is probably possible, but load in could be significantly worse, or clearing it or resetting it could take a longer time. On an NVMe drive, it's not going to be a problem, but I want to avoid issues going forward. And since I'm going to be flying through more and more and more photogrammetry, I think that the issue is, at least in part, it's going to be um, an issue with, what am I trying to say? It's going to be an issue with longer or regional flights that go to places that I don't normally visit. So I'm going to have to pick this apart and figure out what the best approach is going to be. And that might involve using a network cable until at least I go back to getting better bandwidth. And part of it might have been the way that my receiving antenna was working. So if that's the case, and it appears to be, then maybe my problem was that my Wi-Fi signal was artificially borked. I just noticed something. My antenna was at a different angle than it normally was. I just adjusted for it, and all of a sudden it's like kapow. Well, not totally kapow, more like kablip, but still. Um, Frame rates being what they are right now, I'm tempted to respawn into Jacksonville to see what the improvements to performance are doing for me. But I can tell you, I'm getting like the teensiest bit of stuttering, but I'm seeing better performance. Let me do something. I'm checking out a specific spot. Where are we? I think I need to go. Is that it? No, hold on. I want to check something. Oh, I'm getting better performance right now, that's for sure. Or at least I think I am. Hmm. This has turned into a very interesting stream. I need to see something that I know I'm going to get results out of. This will tell me. I can definitely tell my network traffic improved. And wow. Wow. Okay, I can definitely tell that something changed. And now I'm going to go back to JFK and reload one more time. No. I think it was my Wi-Fi antenna. Was pointed the wrong way. Alright, so we're loading, and notice we just reloaded really fast. Like a fraction of the time. And let's go right to where this ends, and now we're going to see the difference between photogrammetry and non-photogrammetry. These are building archetypes, and these are the photogrammetric buildings. Let's see if it's loading a whole bunch of stuff right now. It is trying to load a whole bunch of stuff right now. Okay, so it's not ready yet. Oh wait, here we go. No, this isn't the detail of the terrain right here, is it? Unless it is. Hold on. Let me go out here. Might have been. Might have been. I can't expect those buildings to look the greatest, but I do see that my network traffic is significantly better. What I'm noticing is that it is loading things faster when I stop and I look at them. That's a storage place. You've got like a junkyard here. And now we're going to just keep inching closer and closer. Something about this is definitely responding better now. Is this the LIE? No, this is Interstate 678 and the Interborough Parkway or the Jackie Robinson Parkway. And this, I think, hooks up to oh no, wait. No, that's Interstate 678. And that, I think, is the Interborough Parkway. And this is I-678, and this is the Grand Central Parkway. So let me go back over to the city and have stuff load in. Actually, let me go this way. And then I think my curiosity will be satisfied. I might go to the extreme of actually putting my PC on a different side just to get better results, but I'm getting baud rates. I'm getting throughput into the 30s and higher now. So yeah, it was low before. Yeah, yeah, stuff is loading in now. Stuff is definitely loading in. It wasn't before. There's the Cross Island Parkway. and this is the Whitestone Bridge. And now we're back in the Bronx, the Bruckner Expressway, the Cross Bronx Expressway, and now stop. That might not be the best example, but we'll keep going. And oh yeah, it's picking up, at least in part. And stop. Yep, yep, it's loading. It's loading. Webster Avenue. Definitely a difference. Yep. This is the Port Authority bus terminal at 178th Street. This is the George Washington Bridge. And stop. Yep. Okay, so we're loading in now. That was the problem. That was the problem. My Wi-Fi antenna placement was horrible. It was horrible. Yes, I said Wi-Fi. And I'm checking out a few places yet, and okay. And yeah, yeah, things are loading in. Things are loading in. What else do I have that I'm not seeing? Yeah, it's loading. It's loading pretty quickly now. Usually Turnpike, that's the Meadowlands Swamp. We've got, I think, Tonelli Avenue directly beneath me. And then Belamo. Let's go back to Hoboken. And this will be a satisfactory conclusion to my romp here. And stop. Yep, looks like it loaded. And stop. This already loaded, I think. Like, it's not going to be utterly sharp. I get it. But it is loading. So it was my Wi-Fi antenna. Would have thunk it. And this, I think, is Interstate 78, or at least the Holland Tunnel. And blammo. Okay. Mystery solved. Yeah, it's fine. Do I care about keeping the rolling cache? I don't know. If the rolling cache is going to get in my way, I'm probably going to get rid of it. So, let's get rid of it for now. Delete the file. And apply and save. And then this will probably tell me whether or not I have issues with the performance anymore. Especially now that we are manually loading things by hand. Now I'm going to go into downtown Flatbush and stop. Yeah, okay. Let's follow the Brooklyn Bridge back across. And stop. Yep, things loading nicely. Doesn't mean everything looks great. It's photogrammetry. I'll take the good with the not so good. But it does look like things are loading, so it looks like we've solved the mystery. Kids, watch where your Wi-Fi antennas are placed, especially if they're pointing away from the source that you want them to point towards. And that's about it. I guess I don't need my rolling cache file anymore. I'll be okay with what I have. And it does look like my photogrammetry is loading nicely. Yeah, it does look it. Oh wow, that loads nice. Is this Times Square? I think it is. It's gotta be. Yeah. Not a perfect representation, but it's pretty close. Yeah, this is. Oof. Wow, my frame rate. Okay, that's fine. We'll take what we can get, right? And stop. Okay, that I feel is like more back to normal now. So it is what it is. Like I can't change it. There we go. Okay. All right, kids. I think the mystery's been solved. So I am going to enjoy the rest of my night. Don't know if my landing will make flights and bests, but that'd be funny if it did. Uh, it would be funny. But at least the network performance issues are not necessarily in the bag, but my scenery is loading. I think I'm going to test myself with one more load. I'm going to warp to Jacksonville. Go to airport and we're going to go to KJAX. That's a pretty impressive load. And now we are here. That's not bad. Yeah. Are my parking brakes on at least? Let's see. Yes, they are. Okay, so the previous issues that we had loading scenery here appear to be largely gone. The photogrammetry is loading in, and it's, it's as good as it's going to get right now, and I'm happy. Traffic's loading nicely, photogrammetry's loading nicely. Yes, it looks like the problem existed between the keyboard and chair. That would be me. The problem. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Is it absolutely superb quality? Like, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Not you. Let's pick a random building. That hotel out there, I think. Or these houses. These houses will do it. Maybe they won't. I'd still say overall the quality's better than what I had it before. And it's already loaded. Quality is better than what I had it before. That's for sure. And okay, that photogrammetry is probably not going to be as detailed as some of the other stuff. So let me check. This out here should be better. And yeah, it is. Okay, that settles it. It was definitely my connection. Okay, this has turned into quite an investigative stream, but I am definitely going to sign off. Kids, have a great rest of your night and a great week ahead. I have thoroughly shaken down the latest, I think, detailed checks and balances in my setup. And based on what I have, this is probably what I'm going to continue to run for the foreseeable future. And with that said, I think I am quite pleased. And honestly, in terms of overall frame rate, we're very good. So that'll do it for tonight, in case anybody's still watching. So, friends, have a great night, enjoy yourselves, and until next time, if you want true peace, you want the Prince of Peace, and you want Jesus. Take care, friends. Have a great night. I'll see ya.